By the way, I heard your talk last week.
What talk?
On that radio, the other station.
Oh.
All I wanted to do was talk about your past.
Right,
What was that about?
Most people are like that, I guess. Talk about the cool things I did before becoming religious.
Yeah, yeah, you were far more interesting back there.
Yeah.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah, I never got a chance to plug this.
I know. I'm gonna turn this thing off.
So, I might ask you about the woman at the wall thing. And not Hoffman who got arrested. You thought I was going to ask you about it last week? She was carrying a Torah scroll.
You can ask me. I'm not the guy on Israeli politics. I mean, I don't really get involved with it.
What about, do you have any thought? You made some comments on the Arab who got arrested for saying he was a Jew.
No, that was just a joke. I mean, I don't know what that, again, I don't know, I'm serious, I don't know what that has to do with us. That's Israeli secular.
I bring in all sorts of things.
Alright, you can talk about it. We'll talk about it if you want. I mean,
70% Torah and 30% Mishigas.
Okay, yeah, well okay. It's your show. Okay.
So, I'll start with asking you if you had any thoughts on last week. Because there were some unanswered questions.
Yes, I have like I want a lot of time for that.
Great. So
it's conversion. I mean, this is very...
Great, so we'll just go right into it.
Okay, well, yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So,
and the same deal, you're going to be watching the thing.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the chat. And I don't want to interrupt you once you're rolling. So I'm just going to keep cutting and pasting the chat, emailing it to you. And if I can, remember all the questions, I'll bring them in when you're done making a point. But if I miss them, I'm cutting and pasting the entire chat so you can have it too.
Because I saw questions that were asked last week that were never brought to my attention.
I can't keep track of everything.
Right.
I want to let you roll and.
Right. So I'm going to cut them. I'm going to get to them today.
Yeah. Great.
So no problem. Okay, and
we're rolling. So
we're rolling live.
Yeah. So you had some
Here we
questions.
Are. Hi, folks.
Questions from last week that never got answered. So people in the chat room wanted to ask Rabbi Rabbs about conversion to Judaism, and a lot of questions did not get answered, which is my fault. I didn't pick up on them in the chat room, but try to do better this week. And Rabbi Rabbs,
is everybody in there now?
Handing it over to you.
Okay, so we're talking about conversions. There's actually a few things that I actually wanted to follow up on my own as well.
Great.
So I figured we'd take the topic right from the top of the hour.
Great.
Okay, where to start? Should I call you Levi now? You made
call me Levi.
Listen, if you want to be called Levi, then you got to call yourself Levi.
That's right. That's a good point.
You can't have LukeFord.net. Hey everybody, we're on LukeFord.net, but my name is Levi.
That's a good point.
Right?
So
why don't you get another domain called Levi Ford or something, and then have it at least
Levi Ford.
Get Levi Ford.
That's pretty incongruous, Levi Ford.
LeviFord.com. Have it forward to LukeFord.net.
Because I spent 10 years building out LukeFord.net in Google. So.
Oh,
but also, I'm
true.
cool with Luke Ford. It's fine for the Goyim. Just in Orthodox life, I prefer to use Levi because that way I don't have to explain every time I meet someone that I'm a convert. Because if I use Luke, every time in shul I meet someone in Orthodox life, I have to explain.
Yeah, that's I have the same problem. I have the same problem. I had to change my name to Rabbs.
Right.
When I went into show business.
Right.
Because Herschel is just too Jewish.
Okay.
Now that I'm in show business, I wouldn't want anyone to think I'm Jewish.
Right.
So I had the same problem. I know where you're coming from.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm going to call him Levi from now on. Okay, so this is Levi, and I'm Rabbs.
But you Goyim can call me Luke Ford.
Right, by the way, I don't even want to go into that here.
Oh, go on, what?
No, the radio talk show guy said you have another website, and he listed up the URL, and I was like, he does? Then I went there, I gotta get this off my computer. I gotta get this off my computer.
I think he meant yourmoralleader.blogspot.com.
I was like, what? Because I didn't know you had another domain.
Well, I own or operate it now.
Right.
Sold it many years ago, but I pioneered reporting on many different internet domains.
Right. So they just kept your name. You sold your name.
I sold the domain name.
You sold your name to somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, I sold the domain name.
You're forever going to be, that name of yours is going to be forever synonymous with that.
Luke Ford. Well, actually, I sold LukeFord.com with a deal to buy it back in 5 years, and I lost a sheet of paper with the deal on it, and the guy sold it to someone else, and it's all out of my info.
Wow.
I made the deal to get it back in 5 years.
You're forever going to be locked into that.
Yeah, LukeFord.com.
Unbelievable. You know, couldn't have been like for something like, you know, raising money for Torah or something. No, that is what, you know.
It's the scarlet letter. It'll forever haunt me. Like when I die, like even if I devote the rest of my life to good deeds, when I die, I'll say former internet-born gossip columnist.
That's what that talk show guy talked to you for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And we never got past that stuff.
Yeah, we never got to talk about Torah talk.
You know, like you said, you talked about like the rabbis and like you have a blog now. And he's like, okay. So anyways, he's like, didn't care. I'm like, okay, whatever. All right, so we're going to talk about conversions, folks. And I just wanted to give everybody a little time to trickle into the audience because I know how that goes at the beginning. Things start a little late. Okay, so last week Levi and I were talking about conversions. And we seem to have a couple of disagreements, which I want to actually elaborate on. I want to bring back a couple of these disagreements. One of them is that Levi went on a whole rant last week and seemed to scare the living daylights out of a few people that, at least for sure, who have contacted me since then and who are prospective converts. And they're like, is it really as bad as he claims? So I want to get into that. One thing that you said last week, I'm talking to you, Levi, was that you said that you don't want, that we Jews don't want the poor, and that you're a burden to the community.
If you're going to be a burden to the community.
Right.
They're a working poor. They're a meritorious poor who work hard, who don't ask for charity, and do the best they can. That's great. But we don't want people who are going to sponge. We don't want people who are going to take, who are coming into this because they think it'll lift them up economically because they'll be able to take from all the rich Jews.
Okay, I heard.
And we also don't want wimps. But sorry.
Okay, he's made his point. Now, for all those who didn't see last week, you heard the point himself. He just articulated it. I have the counter to this.
Okay.
I have an essay which I posted the next day after our talk, and it's called "Since When Must One Have Money to Be Jewish?" That's the name of the essay that I had written 3 years ago and published it over 3 years ago. And my point in it is that nowhere in the halachas, in the requirements, in Jewish law, when it comes to conversion, do we require that a convert has money. Nowhere do we require that. To say, well, if we don't want a poor person, I would ask you, where in Torah can you point to, where in Judaism can you point to, can you give us a specific source of where you're coming to say, our community doesn't want you if you're going to be sponging off of us?
I'm not well read in the Jewish literature, but isn't there a commandment that you shouldn't take charity if you possibly could do without it?
Here's what I'm going to counter with you with. We have a mitzvah that's called tzedakah. Everybody has to give meiser. Everybody has to give 10% of their income to a minimum of 10% of their net income at all times. It's called tzedakah. In the old days, when we had the Beis HaMikdash and everything was in play, we live in Eretz Yisrael, there was a thing called meiser ani. I think it's every 3 years, don't quote me because I haven't learned this in so long, but every 3 years we give all of our meiser to the poor.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have poor people in order to pull this off. Because otherwise you're just going to, tenth of all your product, a tenth of your cows, a tenth of your grain, of your field, a tenth of everything is just going to go wasted. You have to have poor people for this thing to work. There's nothing wrong.
We'll never worry about that. I mean, there'll never be a shortage.
Just
all the ones born with birth defects alone.
Judaism has no problem with poor people. Poor people, God embraces the poor.
The Jews don't, though. So if you're poor and you're getting scared off because of what I said last week, then become Jewish because you're too wimpy.
God has no